Oh boy, I lost my hammock. This is really devastating, but I gotta find, I know it's gonna be backlit, but we gotta do it today. So I just have a quick topic, just a fun little topic. You know, there's this whole controversy about pricing versus, I mean, square footage versus per photo. Now, I'm honestly, I really am. I'm very surprised how popular the per photo model has become. And if I had to guess, I would say that's because, you know, there's been a couple of, you know, prominent photographers that have charged per photo. But I think the reason they charge per photo is because, you know, they weren't really into real estate photography. They were like half in, half out, or like a quarter in, 75% out, right? So I'm seeing something on the lens. It's really distracting me. I guess I'll just leave it. But I see that as a problem, like where it came from. So it came from, you know, photographers that are sort of doing higher end work, and it does make sense if you're making 5 photos a day to charge per photo. Now, I just want to use one example to explain to you why I think per photo pricing is bad. And I think it's just almost ludicrous. I do. And real estate photography. Now, first of all, if you're doing per photo pricing and everyone else in your market is doing per photo pricing, I'm seeing this thing is migrating across. It must be a bug. Must be a bug on it. It's like a little, he's over off the lens now. That's really strange. He's coming back. All right, never mind. So it's distracting. So if everyone else is doing per photo pricing, I'd say go for it. You know, that's a good reason. Everyone else is doing it. Try not to fight the grain. But the worst case scenario I can see is if you want to do per photo pricing and everyone else is doing square footage. Even if you think per photo pricing is like the only way to go, do not fight it like that. That's just crazy. Okay, so definitely go with the square footage pricing in that case. Don't fight it. That's going to be a big deal. Everyone's going to call you. They're going to be expecting a quote, and it's going to be expected to be in square foot, okay, on the square footage. The second thing is, it's so easy to quote with square footage, right? It's just so easy. Like, I just dropped zeros off mine. I've been doing this for years. 2,500 square feet, I dropped a zero. Oh, 250 bucks, you know? So it's so easy. It's just too easy, right? There's no complications. I give them an answer quickly. We're both on our way. They call, they got the price, they're on their way. Everything's smooth. All right, now we got to the end of the video here. We want to know why I think pricing per photo is so ridiculous. And the main reason, I do actually think it makes sense for interiors, because, you know, interior photos, they need to be lit. They're more, they take a real professional skill. You got to do the processing to make a nice interior photo, probably a little bit of blending and stuff like this. I see the guy at the bug, he's almost right in the middle now, but you got to do the processing. So interior imagery, I can see per photo pricing being like reasonable, okay? Because interior images, they need to be lit, they need, you know, they need this stuff, so they need the little massaging and everything. So exteriors though, exteriors per photo pricing is just completely unreasonable. And I've said this many times. I walk into a backyard, you know, maybe there's a pool or something, I'm snapping away. I'm walking every 10 feet and snapping a picture. It's literally like some of the agents tell you, can you just take a few snaps? That's what it is, single frame snaps. So they're really snaps. We don't have to tell our clients this, but they're literally like click, 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 click. I can take 8 photos in about a minute in the backyard. I can take 12 photos in about a minute in the backyard. It's so, do I even need to explain why per photo pricing is just ridiculous here? So I think you need to cover yourself and get all the angles. What's going to happen if you're back there in the backyard and you're thinking, I can only get 3 angles here. We only talked about 3 angles. If you just go out there and you're sort of free, you're not thinking about any of that. You might get a little bit tighter in on something that's really nice that, you know, the agent didn't think about, you guys didn't talk about. And that's the other thing. There's just all sorts of stuff popping into my mind. Like, you don't have to talk to your client, right? You just show up at the house, You maybe find out what's important to the homeowner. I think that's always a good idea. You know, the backyard, they love it, whatever. And you know, you might get a few more shots of that, but you don't have to go through all this stuff about like, oh, you know, 3 photos back here, 1 of the living room, just 1 of the master bedroom. That's just complicated, and it feels like, to me, it would take a lot of time, and you've got to sort of sort through it during the shoot. I don't know how, do people write it down? What do they do? Meanwhile, I'm like 20-30% of the way through the house as you're having your conversation, right? You're having your conversation about how many photos. I'm already, and like I said, I don't mind going in the backyard, the front of the house, and shooting a few extra photos. It's a click. It's a click. So I don't see how a click can be like a per photo basis. It's just crazy to me. So it doesn't make sense. I've tried to come up with some analogies. You know, you buy a lot of things in bulk. Like, let's say you buy some thumbtacks, right? You know, there's about 1,000 thumbtacks in there. Well, it would be silly for the cashier to say, well, those are half a penny a piece, you know? They just sell them, and there's about 1,000 in there, you know? It's okay if you get a little more, you get a little less. So that's sort of how I see it. It's kind of ridiculous to pull out each one and start charging for each thumbtack, right? That's sort of how exteriors for real estate photography are. They're just a single frame. You're clicking the photos, you don't even need to focus. Your exposure is set because, you know, you get your exposure set. Most of the other exteriors are going to be that same exposure. Just walking around the exterior, just clicking off photos. Click off 10, click off 20, it's sort of all the same to you. But if you're doing it on a per photo basis, your mind changes, you're thinking about it more. And you want to really be thinking about photos and good photos and what are good photos. You don't want to be thinking about, is he thinking I'm taking too many out here? Oh, I can only take 2, but there's a really lot of nice angles out here. That's just a lot of stuff in a person's head to sort of distract them from taking the really nice photos, in my opinion.